How's it going, guys? Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please make sure, if you are on YouTube, to like this video and subscribe to this channel. Also, click the notification bell so that you may be notified when we post a new video like this one or go live, which we do quite often. And if you are listening to this podcast, please rate and review, share it, follow it. Wherever you are listening to this on, please be sure to be sharing and following this thing. And rate and review, leave a comment, do all of that stuff, please. It helps me out so much. All of that stuff is absolutely free, costs you absolutely nothing, and it helps me out immensely. If you guys would like to help out further, you can drop a tip on Frankie. That link is in the description, and it comes without YouTube's 30% cut, plus Frankie's tips go straight to me. They don't have to meet YouTube's threshold, and the percentage is way lower. Or if you guys want to drop a super chat or a super thanks or stickers or anything like that, feel free to use the YouTube platform as well. But if you want to tip Frankie, those come straight to me, and there's a fraction of that percentage. So there's that. Oh, yeah, also become a YouTube member or a Patreon pudding if you would like. Those links are also in the description under all links. Yes. So anyway, in this episode, I talked about how I really fear initiating things, which led to me talking about initiating romantic situations, which I say romantic situations a lot instead of sex, instead of this, because I felt like there's going to be people who are listening to this that's going to have a hard time hearing me say things involving certain words. And anyway, if hearing me talk about sex and things like that makes you blush at this point, I would say like family and shit, you're probably gonna want to skip this one, or don't. If you just want to stay caught up on everything that goes on and just learn a little bit more about me that you would never know otherwise, then yeah, watch it at your own risk. But for everyone else who hasn't blushed at the thing, you're going to love this one because it's kind of juicy in talking about talking about like my sex life in a way that I've never talked about it publicly ever. And you're going to you're going to hear a story that I say that might make some people feel questionable upon first hearing, but just listen through the story, hear the whole thing out. But yeah, just know what you're walking into with this one, and that's what it is. That being said, I'm not going to keep you guys anymore. Thank you guys so much for doing all the things I asked you to do at the beginning. Liking the video, subscribing to the channel, following on the Apple, following on the Spotify, Amazon, everywhere podcasts are available. Follow there, leave reviews, like, rate, review, comment, yada, yada. And if you guys don't know anything to comment about this, just drop a lightning bolt down there for me. You know what I mean? Drop a little lightning bolt down there in the comments for the algorithm. So anyway, there's that. Without further ado, welcome to episode 4 of Yonder Talks. Enjoy, puddins. Welcome to you. Hope you are all doing well. I think I am. I'm getting much better at being well. I hope that you guys are also winning your battles. I am going to talk about something I don't think I've ever really publicly addressed, and I don't know exactly how to go about it. I'm not 100% sure that it's going to be news to a lot of people, but for those of you who don't really know me that well, this is going to be news to you, I think. And it's something I definitely haven't talked about publicly or really like addressed other than those who are like closest to me or have had close conversations with me. I was talking to my live chat last night, and I stumbled upon something I had never realized about myself, and that was that one of my biggest problems is that I have a really hard time with initiating things. And that stemmed from something I talked about in the third episode, or the episode right before this one, where I felt that I felt like there was some resistance mentally for me that was allowing me to go and voice my issues and basically initiate a conversation that might not end the way that I would want it to. So because there is some resistance there in initiation, which also comes from a fear of questionable outcome, I noticed that I carry that sentiment into other aspects of my life, other forms of my life, where I don't like to initiate conversation that could end badly. And that was the subject that led me to that thought, was that I have a hard time with initiating things. But the thought that I had while I was in the moment that charged me to write this thing down and say, I really need to go over this in the podcast because it would probably make for good content. And good content because I'm uncomfortable talking about it. And I think that people like listening to people talk about things they're not exactly comfortable with. And not only that, but this podcast was always about me trying to better myself and learn more about myself, things that I may have not been aware of yet. Excuse me. And I realized one of those things last night in fearing to initiate things is that I will begin this by saying that I have been voluntarily celibate for minus one thing I don't really count, like 6 years, maybe even 7. It was shortly after I quit drinking. Shortly after I quit drinking, I kind of got uncomfortable with having sex because I was sober, alcohol sober, and like pretty much none of the girls that I would be around at the time were. And honestly, I just did not feel comfortable like being part of that. And I know that's whatever, but I wasn't comfortable with knowing that I was fully sober pretty much and that they absolutely were not. And that made me kind of not enjoy. I couldn't perform because I wasn't there. You know, I wasn't enjoying that, and I felt not good about doing that. So I kind of pulled all the way, no pun intended. I pulled all the way out of that. You know what I mean? Like I pulled all the way out of any situation that could lead to that. And I realized after that like the only times I've ever really hooked up after that, the lady has initiated that. And I have no problem. And this was the thing that I was talking about this situation that I dealt with last week. And and honestly, I don't know if I don't know if it's bad taste to talk about it or not, but and I'll be vague so that I'm not like dropping any names or information or anything, man, because everything's cool. Everything, like, nothing is wrong. But I don't know. I just had a meeting last week about some things that I've been dealing with, or not dealing with, but things that I have been doing that other people have then had to deal with, which is as I take full responsibility for all of that. And it's some of the things that I touched on in the last episode that I vaguely spoke about. But after that talk, I kind of realized, hey, I'm not exactly doing the right things here. And I realized that the reason that I handled that situation the way that I did prior to the meeting was because I have this innate fear of initiating things. And like I said earlier, initiating these conversations that may end badly. I have a really hard time with doing that. I don't like confrontation. I don't like to initiate confrontation. If someone else initiates a confrontation with me, I have zero problem with standing my ground. Zero problem with standing my ground and holding my own. But I have a really hard time with being the one to come forward with that first, to come out of the gate with saying, hey, this is a thing I got. I'm sorry. But I have to say this. This is a thing I got that we got to deal with. We got to work through this. I'm so bad at that. And then in saying that about the problems that I was having, that I talked about in the last episode, I realized that I was the same way with any romantic situation, to where if I am, no pun intended, thrust into a romantic situation, I am 100% competent and able to hold my ground. And, I'm able to hold my ground, but I really have a hard time initiating that. And because it's kind of taboo to have the ladies initiate this sort of thing. That's supposed to be something that the guy does. The guy is sort of supposed to like that's just sort of how it is. And even people want to believe that maybe it's different now. But as far as that goes, I still believe that most men and women are, or let me rephrase that. Most women that I would be interested in entering that sort of a situation with are probably going to be more traditional and would like to be approached by the man. And it would almost be like, yeah, approach me, pussy. Don't be a bitch. Talk to me. Tell me how you feel, and these sort of things. And I know that's what a lot of people think. But I can't. That's not me, man. And maybe this has got a lot to do with some of the stuff I went over in episode 1. Reference that. I really don't like to. I don't like to initiate romantic situations. I don't like to initiate sex. I don't like to initiate. I rarely like to initiate communication, like anything further than a platonic way. Like, I have no problem talking to girls at all. Like, I have zero problem with that. But the second that I get the feeling that something romantic could come of that, that's when I start to clam up and think, man, I know that they're hinting to me right now that they want me to try to initiate something with them, but they don't know that I have a real hard time initiating things. And I feel like articulating that right now in this moment is not going to be good for either of us. So I'm just going to be awkward here, and maybe this is really relatable, but it's something that I am embarrassed of. I'm pretty embarrassed about that. Like because you don't want to feel inadequate in any way, especially if you're trying to maintain your confidence as a person, as a human. You don't want to feel inadequate in any way, and I don't feel necessarily inadequate in any way other than the fact that, like, I don't know what to do next. Like, once we get to the point to where we both know what's going on and we both know what's going to happen, I'm fine. Like, but the part between starting or having that conversation and then the bedroom, I'm really bad at that part. And I don't know what to do. And that's a thing that I really, really don't. I'm not 100% comfortable articulating it. And to be honest, I've tried to talk about this thing twice already, and I've restarted this podcast and started recording again because I haven't liked the way that I was talking about it, and I haven't liked the way that I was embarrassed about revealing this stuff is what I'm saying. And like, I would get to a point where I was talking about it and it was just not, I'm just hearing myself say it. And I'm like, dude, you're these voices in my head are going, dude, you're fucking pathetic. All these people watching this podcast are thinking that you're pathetic. And they all now know, they're all just laughing at you, replaying this clip. Like, look, listen what he said. And then I get those thoughts and they just run wild. And then I just go hit stop recording and I'm like, all right, pull it together. We got this. We talk. That's what we do. And we're honest. That's who we are. Just do that. Just be that. But I have trouble with these things, man. And it's not that I don't have any interest in having romantic I don't have any, it's not that I don't have any romantic interest. It is that I don't know what to do to initiate. And that is it. It's almost like, those weighted things. Those, like, they're weighted so that they continue to move because of the weight, like, propels it around. And that's how this situation is for me. But I have a really hard time pushing it over the edge to get it to start the rotation. I just, once the engine is running, like, that's I can maneuver. That I'm comfortable maneuvering. But it's literally the whole not knowing what to do to initiate any kind of romantic situation that fucks me up. And that's just as honest as I think I've ever been about that specific subject ever. I don't know that I don't think I've ever said this publicly at all. And even to people who are close to me, there's probably only 2 or 3 people that have ever heard me really say that I'm uncomfortable with initiating these situations. And I'm trying to not use the words like sex or fucking and things like that, because I don't want to demean these things that I kind of hold sacred. And I want to keep respect on those things that I feel should be kept sacred. And that's why I'm talking around saying words like that and labeling it like that. But I realized too, and I don't know if I mentioned this already or if I had sort of started talking about it in one of the ones that I restarted, but I said like that when I quit drinking, it was not fun for me anymore. And I had problems like literally producing. And this is a thing, like I've not been able to. The last like 3 or 4 times things got romantic, I could not achieve a rival. And I know that I'm talking like in crazy terms, but I think everybody knows what I'm talking about. And I'm smoking right now, by the way. I'm so embarrassed about these topics and bringing them up that I'm just I'm getting it out how I can. Sorry. Maybe this will help me calm down. These things are so uncomfortable to talk about that I don't want to. I don't want to use these other words that might lead to bad karma towards myself romantically. And I know that's crazy, but I just don't want to be like, I don't care to fuck. I don't want to fuck. Because I do. I just, quite frankly, don't know what to do between initiating conversation and bedroom. Bedroom, all good. Before that, complete shambles. Absolutely no clue. And like I said, it's weird because I have no problem carrying on real platonic conversations with women. I'm actually very good with that. And I grew up with women. I know how to have non-sexual conversations, and I'm very good at doing that, especially when I know that there is no chance at all I'm going to feel anything sexual here. But man, I just have a hard time, and I know I've probably said that 30 times already, and forgive me. I just can't. I can't break myself. I can't break myself from clamming up whenever I feel them start to. I can feel it when someone wants to wants me to initiate something. And like I said, the sort of women that I will find myself interested in will probably think that I'm a pussy because I fear the initiation. And they will probably think that I fancy myself as inadequate in other ways, which results in me not wanting to initiate, which isn't the issue. It's literally stemming from some stuff that I talked about in episode 1, where I don't lead with sexual thoughts and things. A lot of people and a lot of men, and I know this because a lot of guys, like a lot of my friends, and this is historical. This isn't like my current, but this is all all my friends, or most of the guys that I've interacted with in my life. That's like usually top priority for everybody. And I'm chalking this up to the thing I'm not re-mentioning. Reference episode 1. But like, I don't get excited for sex like that. It's just not a thing that I am that interested in. And I end up getting in these situations with girls who think that I don't like them, or I don't do things correctly by them. Like, as far as like, there was a situation where there's only been one girl that I have like had any sort of semblance of romantic conversations with that lives here in Austin since I've moved here. And I was very honest about like, hey, I'm very emotionally immature right now, and I don't think that I'm very emotionally immature right now, and I don't think that you deserve this version of me. And I was very, very honest about that. And I don't think that this person accepted that in the way that I meant it. Or maybe they did, and I'm just stupid, which I'm not ruling out either. I'm sorry. But yeah, maybe I'm just dumb. But the initiating thing was like, hey, let's go get ice cream. But in my mind, I thought, okay, well, if we go get ice cream, then hell, the next time we're going to go get coffee, and then we're going to go get dinner, and then we're going to end up at each other's houses, and then there's going to be this whole big thing, and then we're spending time with each other, and then in my free time, when I would usually recharge my mental batteries, this time is now going to be filled with activities with this other person who I wouldn't, and to be, I'm not against activities with said person. Like, just putting that out there. I just fear all of that. I fear initiating into things that could change my life. Now, there's a thought that I didn't have last night, but I'm glad I wrote that thing down because I came to this. I have a fear of changing my life. I have a really nice routine. My friend Tasha pointed out today, you say the same things every day. And I was like, you know what? I do the same things every day. I'm just a creature of habit. That's the most carnal side of me, I think, is the fact that I fall into this same routine every single day. But I fear these things that will change my life in a big way. Even in positive ways, I fear those things. Like, I think about sometimes, I think that might be another reason why I don't sign up for Kill Tony so much anymore. And I'm circling back to the other thing, so bear with me. Because I know that if I get pulled out of the bucket one more time, it's going to change my life again. And my life has already changed so much. And I'm so grateful for those changes. But I don't think I was so, and maybe the agoraphobia is probably worsening. with age, because it tends to do that. But I don't think I was as aware of the weight of the changes whenever I was, doing all the Kill Tony stuff back in the day. But now I realize that if I get up and this thing goes well, I've been on a bunch already. A lot of the people will recognize me the second my name is called. And I know that if it goes well, things could change. Like, things could always change if you get pulled on Kill Tony. But now more than ever, things can really change. And I'm comparing that level of a life-changing thing, introducing that level of public recognition, which is already a thing, but I'm equating that to starting a mature adult relationship with someone. And I even remember saying, and all of this was over text. I'm bad at speaking out loud, but I can more easily articulate my thoughts through text than out loud. And I know that's a corny thing, but I have a hard time. There's another one. Somebody gonna make a compilation of I have a hard time out of this video. But I literally do have a really hard time speaking out loud to someone the things that I feel. And I remember saying, I like you, to this girl. I remember saying, hey, I like you. And I've not said that to anyone else here. And it's the truth, I haven't. And I still haven't. But yeah, like I said, I still haven't. But I just have this thing that immediately shuts down any possibility of going further than a platonic relationship. And I hate that I have that. But I feel like it's going to take someone aggressively. I think that I really need someone. I need her to initiate it. You know what I mean? I need that. And that's a mistake that I made with the girl that I was just talking about, because I feel like she did kind of initiate it and I kind of dropped the ball, and because I think that she was willing to meet me halfway, and I kind of dropped the ball on that. But my gut was just my gut wasn't in it, and I kind of trust that more often than not. And maybe that's for the best. Maybe I'm kind of fucking myself over in the future, and maybe I'll look back and think, wow, I really fucked up. And if I do, I'll deal with that when it gets here. But I think that I'm really gonna need someone to kind of say, hey, look, I can tell you, probably. I don't even need him to say. I just think I need someone else to initiate it. Is all I'm getting at. I don't want to make it weird, but I just and I said it again, I just don't know what to do. I don't know what to do next. Like, with the whole thing with with the teacher and all that, like, she initiated first contact. And I had a girlfriend a bit before that. Like, I had, like, my first real girlfriend that I talked about in one of these episodes. We kind of made out, and I'm sure I was like doing well with initiating them, but that was before the teacher thing. So, once I got in a bad wreck when I was 15, and after I got in the wreck, I got back home and I gave my grandmother my driver's license. I said I never want to drive again. I think the teacher situation was another wreck. So after that, I kind of was like, hey, I don't want to have sex. I don't want to do this. So this was when I was 15 years old, and I just stopped caring. I stopped trying. And I waited until I was 18, and then I had a few years where I was being an 18, 19, 20-year-old, and it was just after that situation where the teacher kind of initiated everything, and she kind of like started it. I think that sort of set up a situation in me to where I also kind of have a thing for women that are a bit older than me. And or honestly, that's not even true. And I say a bit older than me because I'm used to saying that. I kind of have a thing for women that I view as to have some sort of power over me, or some sort of authority over me, or even, and it doesn't have to be power or authority. It could just be like someone who has an aggressive personality, like someone who outranks me in a way, if that makes any sense. Like I think that your first sexual experience unlocks a lot of things in you that's going to be your thing forever. I talk about it on stage a lot. And it's a thing that kind of I was infatuated with. I'm actually not going to say this because I shouldn't. I shouldn't say this, but I think I'm gonna. I have this thing where I talk about I like getting pissed on, and I mean, truth be told, obviously you guys here, I've been celibate for these years, so it's obviously been a very long time ago that these things were like turning me on. But it's a real thing that one day in a swimming pool, my girlfriend at the time, like pissed in the pool next to me. And these little things, and that was like one of my first like real relationships as like outside of my teenage years. And I didn't have to tell you that, but I told you that to say that like certain things unlock certain things in you that you don't know you had. And I think I didn't know that I had this I need them to take the lead, but I kind of need them to take the lead. And I think that the teacher thing kind of spawned that in me. But I also think that the other things that happened earlier in my life that I don't talk about, like I think that also kind of, anytime, I think that is the thing that sort of makes me pull back whenever I feel the possibility of like any sort of romantic situation. Like I pull back heavily whenever I feel that coming on. And I think that's has to be the reason in the beginning, you know. That has to be the reason. That sort of thing happening in the beginning, like experience something like that before anybody should experience anything like that. Didn't set me up for success. You know what I mean? So I kind of feel that maybe one day I'll be responsible. I'll be mature enough. Maybe one day I'll be mature enough to just come flat out and say, "Hey, listen, I like you, but I have a hard time with initiating anything, so I'm going to need you to kind of take the lead on some of these things, but this is me telling you that I like you." And maybe if I would have talked to the girl that I mentioned earlier like that, and I would have said, "Hey, I kind of need you to really coax me out of, I'm going to give you resistance. I'm going to try to not do these things that you're going to try to get me to do, but I really want you to get me to do them, if that makes any sense. I want you to be, I don't know. I really just, I want it to be, I don't know, man. I don't even know what I'm talking about. I don't know why I'm doing this like 37 minutes already on why I don't have sex, or why I've abstain for, is that it, for so long. I need some water. That's what I need. Yeah, I don't want to sit here and talk about this. I was literally just going to talk about how I have a problem initiating things and like how it relates to all these different problems in my life, but I've never talked about the sex thing publicly, and I don't think that, I mean, why would you, you know? A lot of people that are promiscuous don't mind talking about it, about their lives, and in a prideful way even, but I just don't have that. I don't think I have that in me. I don't know that I have the same desires that all the other guys do that I talk to. Generally, I don't think I have the same. I definitely don't have the same will to like act on these things that I feel. Don't get me wrong, I still feel these things, and I mean I still I still experience all the other parts of it that everyone else also experiences. But I don't like getting another person involved physically. And yeah, I've got people I've got people back home that I still that I'll still communicate with in like a sexual way. But that's just something that has always happened. And it's like just a continuation of, I have this thing that I like that I talk about, that like, no, I don't, zero of the girls that I've ever had. I'm sorry I keep clearing my throat in here. I shouldn't have hit that GB in the middle of this. I know that's annoying, and I really apologize. I say this thing a lot, that no girl that I've ever had any kind of sexual experiences or sexual encounters with, if they saw me today, they would 1000% run to me and hug me. Like, that's just that's just a thing. Except the teacher. I don't think she would. I mean, for obvious reasons. But yeah, like that's just a thing that I've never had an experience with anyone where afterwards we didn't speak. I don't like that. I don't like sex is such a passionate, carnal, ancient binding to another person. And it's unnatural to do that and not continue to communicate. It's just an unnatural. I think it's an unnatural human bond. People will say, "Oh, well, animals do this. Like, that's just our carnal thing." But that's the thing that separates us from the animals, is that we have these morals and things. It's just. And by the way, I'm not putting any of this on anybody else. This is just me thinking out loud for the way I feel about this. Is that it's just unnatural to have all of these partners that nothing ever comes from. That is just, you're drinking True Blood. For the dorks in the chat. The reference to the True Blood. You're drinking a synthetic version of this thing, but what you really need is real blood. What you need is love. And that's what it's all about. Like, life is love. And if not for love, then why? And I feel like I take too seriously because one small sexual experience that I had when I was 15 years old with my teacher kind of affected a lot of people's life in a negative way. And I very early in life felt the weight of sexual situations when they go wrong. So that has sort of made me weary of entering into sexual situations going forward after that point. And don't get me wrong, there was a time when I was drinking, I was living my life. And but even then, I was still very selective, and I was very close guarded to those things and my morals and all of that. I kept all of that. I held all of that up like a shield, and a lot of times, but I let the shield down often back then, But once I stopped drinking, it was just like, okay, I'm not going to be a sober guy. Booze sober. I don't like to say the word sober. It's easy to say sober because it's one word rather than saying, I don't drink. So just know, anytime you ever hear me say the word sober, I'm referencing the fact that I don't drink. Because I still smoke, obviously. That's the only thing I do. And I still consider that pretty sober, But anyway, I didn't want to be the sober guy there with the drunk girl, and I'll tell you guys this: one of the last times that I hooked up was I don't know, a couple years after I quit drinking. I was already doing my podcast a lot, my podcast back then. This girl, friend of mine for a long time, we had a little history together. and she listened to the podcast and she heard me talk about just we had a lot of similar views on a lot of things, hot topics that were going around back then. And one night she started Snapchatting me, and I was like, I don't know. At this point, I think I hadn't hooked up with anybody in probably, I don't know, 6 months to a year at that point. And I was like, it's been a while. She's prompting it. It's checking all of my boxes. No pun intended. She was checking off a lot of boxes in the situation, and I went over there, and we hooked up, and I went home shortly after. She fell asleep, and I left, but I did message her and was like, hey, I didn't want to be there when everybody in the house woke up. I didn't want to deal with the questions or anything like that because there was a reason. There was a reason, and I just, because it might reveal something that they wouldn't be comfortable with. There's a reason I didn't want to be there the next morning when everybody woke up. And but I sent her a message, and I was like, had fun, good to see you, let's do this again, yada yada. And then I received a message back like, hey, I was pretty wasted last night. What happened? And then I'm like, yo, what? And so then I just, in full detail, I pretty much described everything that happened. And then she was just like, oh, yeah, okay. So she was just like, yeah, I was just trying to, she was like, I'm just trying to make sure that I didn't need to go get like a plan B or something like that. And I was like, oh, no. Like that didn't even occur. And then she laughed and was like, oh, well, maybe we'll try again. And I'm like, all right, so like everything is kosher in that. But that situation, I remembered thinking, wow, like if this would have gone the other way and she would have been like, if that would have gone the other way, it scared the shit out of me, to be honest with you. It just, that shit kind of terrified me. So if it would have gone a negative way, like that could have really fucked me over. And to be honest, I am a guy who plans on doing something like huge with my life. And I don't want any sort of, I don't even want a shadow of, I don't want a shadow of anything like that on my reputation, because I've worked very hard to get to where I am, and where I will be. So I don't want anything to screw me over later on because I wanted to have an hour or so of fun, and then that ruins my entire life. So I just decided then and there, I was like, you know what? I don't need this. I don't need this anymore. Like, I would rather not partake in those lusts. I'd rather that than risk risk my reputation. And so I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. I don't think I've ever said that. I think I did talk about this in one of the old MI Stuff episodes a long time ago. But I don't think I in that much detail. But this is what this thing is I'm being honest now about these things. And yeah, me and her are still friends. We still communicate like all the time. And but that was the one thing that, and I'll say this is another thing that I hadn't I know I've never said publicly, but that hookup happened just after the original Louis C.K. thing happened. So yeah, that thing happened like right after the Louis C.K. thing happened. And well, not right after, but like it was still a thing that was going around, you know. And it just, I remembered thinking like, so now there's an option to where consent could be rescinded. And I was like, you know, I'm just not going to play this game. I'm not going to, I'll just bow out. No longer interested. And I'm going to be honest, I am really glad that situation happened, because I don't know. I think that being that careful after that point is a really good thing. And I think that it's something that other people could practice a bit more. But like I said, I'm not trying to change the way anybody else is. I'm just talking about my own shit here. But yeah, that thing kind of freaked me out, like, and as it would anybody, I believe. But I just didn't know. Like I remember the feeling that I got when I looked at that text the next morning, and I was like, "Oh no." And then like I was like, "Hey, like this is what happened. This is what we did." And everything is there in text. Like everything was there, like the her reaching out and sending the address, and like it was all there. So she was like, "Hey, that was pretty much how she initiated. It was like, "Hey, I'm just now looking back at all these texts. She was like, "Yeah, I was blackout last night." And I'm just like, "Oh no. Oh no." But thankfully, like it was just like oh no, like I wanted this to happen. I wanted to know whether I needed to go get like a plan B or something. And I was like, "Oh no. But yeah, anyway, going down that rabbit hole to kind of explain another, like, that's why I'm sort of weary of initiating anything at all, because I still have the Louis thing echoing in my mind, to where if someone does see me as someone who has any kind of semblance of stature or position of power or anything like that, I don't want anyone to feel obligated to say yes because of those things. And because I feel like one day I will be that person who has semblances of power. I feel like I will be that person one day. And I'm just trying to get in the habit right now of not trying. And this is different because I'm not a good looking guy. You know, this is different because like if I were like fucking like if I don't know, if I were like a really good looking guy, none of this would, I don't think any of this would really matter, because hot people kind of get away with everything. I mean, fucking Ted Bundy was murdering people, but they said he was good looking, so they let him get away with it. I have to protect my myself in other ways, you know. I have to make sure that I'm not I'm not gonna initiate something with a girl and then afterwards her be like, oh well, I only did this because I thought that you were gonna, I don't know, do this thing for me, and I didn't want to lose the opportunity. And then I'm just like, oh no. So I'm just like, you know what? I'll just get comfortable being by myself. And I was out at lunch, or not lunch, but after I got off work tonight, I stopped by Mothership for a second, and I met up with Holtzman, and we hung out for a couple hours after that, and we were talking about this thing, and I was saying, man, like my sisters, three baby sisters, two of them have kids now, and my parents have grandkids, so but I kind of feel the pressure. Like my dad keeps tagging me in this newscaster, a meteorologist who moved from back home to Austin, Texas, and he keeps on Facebook going in there and commenting my name like, Kelsey Hudgens, here's you a girl, you ought to message her. Post. Tagging me in this. And I'm like, bro, like, we don't do that. But what I'm getting at is that I think my dad wants me to have a child. He wants me to have offspring. He wants me to give him a grandchild. I know that's what he wants. And I was telling Holtzman, I was like, man, I just don't know if I got that in me. I don't know if I have the relationship and the family. I don't know if I possess that. And it's not that I believe I would be an incredible father. I believe I would be a fun dad. I believe I would be an awesome dad to have, and I believe that I believe that I would produce and raise outstanding humans. But there's a chance that all of the bad parts of me and all of the bad parts in my lineage come out of this child. And then I don't know how I would cope with doing a bad job. I don't think that I would. I think I would do great. I think I would be a great father. But the fear, man, the fear of entering into a situation that could change my life in a huge way absolutely terrifies the shit out of me, man. It's just the kind of thing that I don't know. It's just the kind of thing I don't know, man. I guess what I mean is that if there's a chance that it could go bad, I really stay away from it. And I know that's an immature way to live life, never taking any risks, never taking any chances. And I don't want to be that, but I'm so scared. And that's just as honest as I can be. I'm just genuinely terrified. And that's probably why I never went to get ice cream. Because I feel like I was looking at this person and I think we had the conversation about kids. And as I recall, I remember they were anti-kid, and I think that I wanted, I don't know, I think in the back of my mind I want kids, but, and maybe that's what kind of made me not go get ice cream, but I think underneath all of that, I think it was literally just the fact that I was terrified of what it might lead to. And then, I've been alone for so long that I have my methods for doing things my own way. I have my quirks. I have my routines. I have all of these things that I've ironed out over years of living by myself and doing my own thing. And I fear that, I fear change in that, but I also fear that more so than the change, I fear that I would become influenced by this other person. I feel like their influence over me would cause me to change into something that is unnatural to myself, because I aim to please, and I think I aim heavily to please. So I feel like I would do things that are out of the norm for me just to please the other person, just to please the other person. I think I would do things that I would normally would never do because I think they would want me to. And I don't want to become that. Like, whenever your friends, we've all been there, you got friends, and then all of a sudden they start seeing a girl, and then like they're different. They're acting different. Like, you make a joke that they would usually laugh at, but now they're not laughing. And it's like, well, I actually don't think that's very funny. There are people out there like, well, what the fuck, dude? What happened to you? I don't ever want to be that guy. And I fear that entering in a relationship like that would invoke that sort of thing. So I think that I'm just waiting to find the woman who would no doubt accept me and my quirks the way that I am. But also, I'm nearing 40, and that's not a bad thing for me. But if I want to date within my age group, I think I've already kind of, if I want kids without a lot of complications, which is the goal, like I don't, nothing against people who have children with complications, but I don't think that's anybody's first choice. They say what do you want, a boy or a girl? The number one answer is I don't care as long as it's healthy. So that the baby's health is important, and I think that dating or entering in a relationship with someone in my age group, where the clock is ticking, and I fear that I will be past that point. I'll be past the point by the time I'm comfortable enough to settle down. And I think that I would like to experience that. And I've been hearing other people talk about it. Well, you're never going to be ready. If you wait until you're ready, it'll never happen, and you'll never do it. And then you'll be at the end of your life, and you'll be like, man, I really wish I would have left something more than just these things, these podcasts and these songs and these jokes. I really wish I would have left something else here, But that's how far and how that's how deep in that thought that I get. And all of that results into me feeling just really weighed down and thinking, oh no, I need to get out of this. Oh no, like this is not going to end well for me. And yeah, that's how it makes me feel. And I know that's not the way it actually is. I know it's probably not. It's just me being crazy. But I still feel that's how these things kind of get me. And I think back to that. I think back to that one situation where, you never want to be. I don't know. Think back to that one situation. I never want to be the. I don't know. I never want to be in a position to have advantage over someone else. I don't like that. That is a huge turnoff for me. But I feel like the kind of woman that I'm going to end up raising my children with is going to need to be courted by someone who is willing to take that authority, to be the man. And I make a joke about it sometimes, and it's a real thought that I had on stage. I was talking about it once at the mothership, and I was saying, I'm single, but when I'm ready, I'll go down to the Renaissance Fair and I'll pick one, because I do look like the type. And I was like, I'll find me a hairy underarm bitch that whittles spoons in her spare time that'll raise our Viking children to be warriors and that can chop down trees with, one swing. I kind of like, that was a thought that I had on stage while I was just talking, and it got a lot of, it went well, but I was literally thinking about that, and that's a real thing. Like, I believe that one day I will find someone who is just absolutely perfect. It's like, you know what? I'm ready to do this thing too. Let's just jump in. Let's just jump in feet first and see how this thing goes. And I will be ready for that when it happens, but I think it's going to take me maturing past the point of not being able to initiate any sort of romantic situation. But yeah, all of this stemmed from me having that thought that I'm not good at initiating things. And the thing is that I don't like how good I feel after the thing is over that I didn't initiate, but I know that it is over and it's dealt with and it's out. I felt so good about it, and it was a situation that could have gone very badly. And I'm speaking specifically about the thing that I was talking about in the last episode that happened last week. After that episode aired, I think, or maybe before, I don't know. Everything runs together. Sorry. I'm gonna wrap this up too. I'm it's 7:00 in the morning. I've been up so long, and I feel like I rambled and revealed too much in this thing, but I'm too delirious and sleepy to have not done it, and I'm just gonna release it because who cares? And I know that I want to address this too before I get out of it. I know that there's going to be some people that'll hear that story about the girl who called me over there and then text me back the next day saying like what happened, and I know that sounds slimy, but it just simply wasn't. And I don't know another way to describe it, but like I know I know what it sounded like. But I'm just being honest with you guys, and that's just how it went down. And like literally everything was totally fine the next day. I just believe that I don't know, that was fine the next day, and I just didn't want to be there because I think that we were both kind of involved in other things that might not have been as serious with other people that would have just created other issues if we were found out. You know, it would have just been a thing. And there's another thing. I fear that if I enter into a relationship with someone, one person, that I would feel crushed under the weight of monogamy and that I would be unfaithful. I fear that. I fear that I would not be faithful after a time, or that I would abruptly end something that doesn't need to be ended because I would want to be unfaithful, and I would end a relationship that is perfectly fine because I am just simply bored. And that's not fair at all. That's so unfair. But I fear that I would do that because that's the kind of piece of shit I am sometimes. And I don't like that, but you know, I don't like that, but we're being honest here with each other. And I don't know. But yeah, I wanted to address that before I ended anything in this episode, because I know that some people will hear that and it strike them in a weird way, but like we were both fine and all is well. We literally still talk all the time. Or communicate in a way. Like we like definitely watch each other's stories and shit, but yeah. I didn't realize how much I fear the anything that could result in a major life change. And these days, what doesn't result in a major life change, man? Every decision you make enters you into a different portal of existence. So every decision you make spawns you into a different universe. And I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm trying to spawn myself into the universe that I was intended to be in, and I believe I'm pretty close to it, and I might be in it now. So another thing I was talking to Holtzman about earlier is that, you know, you get to a point in your life where if you find the thing that you were put on this earth to do, everything else will fall into place for you. And I believe that I've found that thing. And I believe that ever since I've found that thing, that things have started falling into place for me. And I'm pretty proud of that. But that brings on another fear of like potential relationship things, because I hear friends of mine who have like recently gained levels of fame that they hadn't experienced prior, and now they're saying things like, you know, I don't want to be with anybody who is wanting to be with me because of the fame. I want somebody who is real, somebody who gives a shit about who I am and wants to learn who I am as a person and likes that and is into that, not just the fame. But I don't know. I think that I might be too close to that point unless I end up like finding someone from back home who I was cool with before any of this shit started happening. Which I'm not above that. Or if it's somebody who like just doesn't have any idea what any of this shit is and like, I don't care. What do you I don't like Instagram. I'm not on the internet. I like to fish. And I don't got no Facebook. I like to I don't know, like and maybe that sort of situation, that unicorn might be out there. But I don't know, man. I just think that I'm gonna get to a point in my life to where I'm gonna question so much more than I'm questioning now people's motives on. I'm going to start questioning people whenever they show interest in me. I'm not going to take anyone seriously. I'm not going to believe anyone. I already think the Truman Show is about me. Like, I already think that. So I feel like I'm not going to believe anybody. And not only that, there's been times where in my life, this is an embarrassing thing. There's been times in my life where I think friends of mine have gotten girls to like talk to me because I've kind of always been weird about initiating things. So I think friends have gotten girls to like talk to me, and then later I've found out that these friends had kind of like gotten these girls to talk to me, and it was really embarrassing for me, where I was like kind of thinking, oh, I'm doing something here, you know? But it wasn't me doing something. It was like people who had told these girls to like approach me and kind of make me feel good. And that's embarrassing and kind of demeaning, but it's happened. And so I'm always like side-eyeing everything. Like, what are you getting out of this? Who put you up to this? This is what it's like to be a crazy person. Welcome to a crazy person's brain. I've been doing this thing for an hour 20. I should probably get out of here. I know that I didn't intend this whole thing talking about my how I feel about sex and hooking up. Didn't mean for that to happen, but here we are. And I'm gonna be honest. Like, even though I talked about like early sexual experiences in my life in the first episode, I feel like I got more personal in this one than in that one, because these are the things that I like really struggle with mentally, and these are the things that are like the things that bother me the most about myself, and I think create a lot of my internal problems, because I do have that carnal need in me to fuck. There, I said it. I do have those needs for sure, and they are not getting met. And to be perfectly honest, there is no like urgency to meet them, and I don't have any urgency to meet them. But I do have those urges every single day, all the time. And I feel like I might feel much better about life if I were to give in to those urges. but I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do between conversation beginning and bedroom. Totally fine after that. But initiating the conversation that would lead to the bedroom, I am so horrible at. Like, I don't know. I don't know how someone is going to take, hey, do you want to come home with me tonight? Because I'm not, I'm listen, I'm not young enough to be smooth about it anymore, and I'm too old to not just be fucking straightforward. I'm too old to beat around the bush. I mean, I'd prefer there be a bush. I'm too old to beat around the bush. And I don't know, man. I guess what I'm saying is that I need, if I ever want to get out of this rut that I'm in where I'm just staying celibate, then I'm gonna need the initiating to come from an external source. And that's another thing too, is that I fear that if someone tries to initiate something with me and I'm not really about that, or I don't really see that person in that way, I would feel really bad. I would feel really bad rejecting someone else, because I also don't want to be rejected, and that's probably a huge reason why another reason why I don't want to initiate is because I also fear rejection. And I would just I take it very personal, obviously, because that's something that you if you get rejected at something like that, yeah, definitely take it personal. Or I would definitely take it personal. But I don't want to put anybody else in that situation either, but I would because I've been approached a couple times by and by a couple, I've been approached a couple times outright by someone saying, hey, I really want to do this with you, and it's just sort of struck me wrong at the moment. And don't get me wrong, there's been, after I've gotten home and thought about it, I might send a text back and be like, hey, are we still good for that thing? I've done that before. And it was some of the most fun I've had were those times too, when they initiated and they're just like, hey, this is what this is. There's nothing here. Like, there's nothing, like, no responsibility or anything like that. Let's just hook up and that's it. Like, we're both adults. Let's just do this thing that we both want to do. And then, we'll see each other tomorrow. I'll see you the next time you play here. And like those were always the most fun. And I miss that. But man, it was so easy to be smooth when I was drinking, because I have the natural morality that I had built over all those years, but I also have the inhibitions are completely out of the window. Like, so, I mean, I'm not doing anything sketchy or shady, but I'm also like, I know how far to go. I know exactly how far to push. And to be perfectly honest, I don't know that I've ever gotten to that point. I don't think I've ever entered into any situation like that I didn't know for sure I could follow through with. Like, I would, it's something about it would let me know that they were down before I even started the initiating process. And I used to be so good at it, man. I was smooth with it. But, you get older and that brain starts to doing its fucking braining, And then all of a sudden you're terrified to look at anybody else for fear of them getting offended and calling you a weirdo. But what can you do? These are the times we live in. I don't know. I'll wait until someone. I'll wait until my my Viking queen initiates our first powwow, and then we'll bring our young Nordic children into the existence that will conquer the world. That'd be cool. That'd be pretty awesome. Yeah, I gotta close my eyes, y'all. It's already 7 o'clock in the morning here in the sunny Austin, Texas. It is Sunday morning, September 15th. You guys will be listening to this wherever you are. Just know that this is what time it was when I was talking about it, and that's why my eyes are shutting right now. And thank you guys for listening to this nonsense. I know that it was probably awkward, and if you made it to this point, I tell you what, if you made it to this point in the podcast, in the comments on YouTube, I think that's the only place this might work, unless you can do comments on podcast things. If you can do comments on audio, do comments there too. And leave a bed emoji. A bed emoji if you made it to this point. Just to see how many people got here. Yeah. That's that. I'm not going to go down any more explanations or go down anybody who has any questions about any of this shit. Drop them in my DM me on Instagram or put them in the comments. I don't care. I'll respond to anything in the comments too. So do that. But yeah, that's where we are in life. That's why I'm weird. That's why. Yeah, to any of the girls that I know in real life that will listen to this and watch this, that's why I've never approached any of you. That's because I'm fucking weird. And this is in no way an invitation to say, hey, approach me, please. That's not what this is. I don't want that. I don't want you to get that out of this. I'm not here begging people to approach me. That's not what we're looking for here. I mean, I'm not saying don't do that. I've said too much. I'm not saying don't do that, but I'm not saying do that. This isn't a ploy to drum up interest in myself, if that makes any sense. So anyway, I'm going to stop talking before I defile myself anymore. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Please remember to like the video. Please remember to subscribe to this channel on YouTube and follow this podcast everywhere podcasts are available. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts, Amazon. Everywhere podcasts are available, audio-wise, we are there. So thank you so much for doing that. I thank you in advance for liking and following and sharing and rating and reviewing on Apple Podcasts and doing the same on Spotify. Thank you guys so much for doing that. And if you would like to become a member on YouTube or Patreon, I release content there that doesn't get released anywhere else. And I release on a regular basis. You get pictures of the green room from Secret Show and a couple of behind-the-scenes videos from work and cameos from Kill Tony legends and stand-up comedy legends and just general legends. You get a lot of extra content if you become a member on Patreon and YouTube. And, of course, if you would like to donate otherwise, can always tip Frankie. Frankie would love to have anything that you're willing to spare. He's a sweetheart. We try to take care of Frankie. We love Frankie. But yeah, tip Frankie if you want. There's a link in the description where you can do that, and it doesn't come with YouTube's 30% cut. Frankie's tips down in that description comes with a 3% cut. Not only that, but I get that immediately, and we don't have to wait for YouTube's threshold to be met. So yeah. Anyway, enough shilling. Be good people. Do something nice for somebody, and don't tell anybody that you did it. Just do it and be done with it and move on with your life. If they want to share it, leave that up to them. Let them do it. You just do the thing, you know? Roll Tide, everybody. We beat Wisconsin today. We got a bye week, and then we got to play Georgia a week after that. And good Lord, it's going to be a game. And yeah, Roll Tide, everybody.